We're going to talk about how important the appraiser function is in finding and analyzing a deal. Of course, the average person doesn't understand what you do. Kashaka, you're an appraiser, and I want you to give a little bit of background about your experience, about what you've done, and how you're going to be able to work with new investors in this market.
Okay, Nate. Nate, I'm a real estate appraiser, licensed real estate appraiser in 3 states, Maryland, D.C., and Virginia, and I'm a certified residential appraiser in all 3 of those states, along with being approved for the FHA panel and the VA panel. And I have been in the appraisal field since licensing occurred. So I have been doing this for a total of maybe 25 to 30 years or whatever, and that's what I'm actively doing. I became an appraiser as a result because I got into the real estate business, and I am also a licensed real estate broker in the state of Maryland and DC, and a recipient of the $1 Million Salesman Award or whatever. So that's how I became into the real estate appraising business.
Okay, great. And those are some impressive credentials, by the way. Only a few people have their VA and FHA.
Yes.
And are certified. I would say, what, maybe 5% of appraisers, if that?
Well, let me say it's very difficult to be able to get on to the VA panel, and and how I came about getting on the VA panel is because I actually worked for VA for a period of 2 years, and as a result of me working for VA as a staff appraiser, I was able to then leave there and then become an independent appraiser for them or whatever. But it used to be very difficult in terms of, because the panel for VA is limited. They only have a limited number of appraisers or whatever on there. They've opened up the panel for FHA in terms of anyone can submit their credentials. Doesn't mean you're going to be chosen or whatever.
Right, right. Well, that's very impressive. Now I want to ask you about this market, because this market, the current market, the real estate market, has undergone over the last 3 or 4 years a major transition. We've lost a lot of realtors, a lot of mortgage companies. There are a lot of foreclosures and short sales. How does that impact what you do as an appraiser, and how does that affect investors?
The market has drastically changed within the last 2 years, I want to say, in terms of that the values of properties in general, and I'm talking primarily about the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, which is what I know. And I usually tell people that in general, in this area, all properties have lost value in terms of at least anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000. I don't care where that property is.
Wow.
You have some segments in these areas here in terms of the high rent areas or whatever, where it's still stable, but you don't have the increase in value that we used to have or whatever. And in terms of how it has affected my value, my work in terms of as an appraiser, I still approach it the same as I've always done in terms of it's my job to report the market. That's what I'm doing. I'm just portraying what's going on in the market or whatever. And so as a result, the market, the information and the data is what it is. And what it is there are a lot of foreclosures, short sales, and things of that nature. And this is what is impacting the market in general. And fortunately or unfortunately, this is the data that we have to use in order to come up with our values or whatever. Because this is the market, and it's my job to report the market. I don't make these numbers up or whatever, and that's what it is.
And so if a person wants, if a new investor, for example, wants to get into the business,
yes,
they need to understand, one, what goes on in the mind of an appraiser.
It's no question. I firmly believe that when it comes to investing or buying or selling anything, the first number that you need to know is what it's worth. because what it's worth is going to determine how much you're going to get for it, how much you can sell it for, whatever. So the primary number in everything that we do as an investor, a seller, buyer, is what it's worth.
What it's worth. And that's gotten tricky in today's market because we do have such an overload, so to speak, of short sales and foreclosures, which you as an appraiser now have to use,
yes,
especially in a declining market. So it becomes even more important, in my estimation, that a person who wants to invest in real estate have a team of professionals that they can rely on who know the market and who can tell them or assist them in the market with their expertise. What would you think about that?
I think that it's imperative in anything that you do that you have the best information that you can in order to make a good decision. Information is the raw material for making a good decision. So you need professional people with experience and knowledge in terms of that knowledge base or whatever. You got to have that if you want to be a profitable and a good investor.
And that's great. One of the things that you mentioned, if you look at our combined experience, I've been doing this for about 25 years. You've been doing it for about 25 years. When a student comes to, say, you or me, or both of us, because we're on the Real Smart Investor team, it's important that they understand that they are getting the resources and the experience of our combined careers of 50 plus years in this business. Real estate is a team sport. It's a team effort.
That's right.
You can't do it by yourself, no matter how you want to try it.
That's right.
And the Real Smart Investor method brings together that team of professionals, such as you,
yes,
Kashaka, Keita, who's been appraising and investing and been a broker in real estate for 25 years. You're going to be essentially the appraiser instructor.
Yes.
Okay? And in that capacity, the students are going to learn from you exactly what?
Well, my desire is try to familiarize and educate them to the process that an appraiser goes through in making a determination of value. And they need to know that because in order for them to be able to borrow money or get money on the property will have to be appraised. And so there are certain guidelines and rules and regulations, and there are ways that we as the appraiser look at it as opposed to the way that the seller, the buyer, and the investor look at it. We look at it as an appraiser, and sometimes that's foreign to other people or whatever, because it is a profession and it has a language of its own. So I'm going to try to make that language clear, whereas at least they will have a understanding of the process that's used in determining the value of the real estate.
And that's critical because the banks use the appraisal.
Everybody.
Exactly. So they've got to know that, and they've got to be able to understand that they can't take somebody's word for it.
No.
They've got to understand there's some guidelines, but you said.
They got to have a license appraisal.
Exactly. There's no getting around.
We don't pull this number out the sky.
Exactly, exactly. And they can also consult with you in the process of determining if they want to invest in a property. Is that right?
Yes, they can.
So we give them pretty much everything they need in order to succeed as an investor. What they got to bring is the correct attitude.
Yes, they have to have a willingness to learn and to succeed or whatever, but what they'll be gaining is a team of professionals.
Team of professionals. And one final question I want them to understand, is it possible to make money as a real estate investor in this market?
Well, Nate, I believe anything is possible.
Okay.
And so, yes, it's always possible, and yes, they can. It's first a matter of your thoughts. And so if you believe that you can achieve, you will achieve.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's very well said. Any concluding thoughts at all?
Let's get rolling. Let's make some money. Let's make some people successful.
Become a real smart investor. Build wealth.